Previously on Hades Developing Hell.
So the game comes out on Steam and it has a really good day one. The part that was like truly and utterly shocking was the 98% overwhelmingly positive review score, higher than any of our previous games.
It was shocking. I was shocked, and I continue to be somewhat shocked by it.
I think having people know what we're working on really changes the vibe.
It felt like we blinked and all of 2019 had flown by.
Yeah, basically on Thursday, March 5th, as a company, we read that there was community transmission of COVID-19 in San Francisco. And so we made the decision that day that it would be the last day in the office and we would be working from home. So that was before San Francisco issued a lockdown. I think that came the following week. We were working from home one day a week anyway as a company, or most of us were. And so a lot of people already kind of had a home set up. And we just ended up putting ourselves into a situation where we just sent everybody home to start working. And I think at the time we had no idea how long that was going to be. And still don't. Yeah.
I think there was a specific day when they officially declared it a pandemic, and that was also the day that the National Basketball Association, the NBA, they're like, no more NBA season. And I think that 1-2 punch of like, it's official, it's a pandemic, and no more basketball, that was like a switch flipped for many people if they weren't already kind of paying attention.
Yeah, so I'm like a 15-minute bike ride from the office. So I'll hop on my bike, head down Market Street for those familiar with San Francisco, and then just end up at the office. And it's pretty quiet. There's definitely cars out, like a decent amount of cars, not as much as normal, but the streets are pretty empty. There's not a lot of people on the streets. It's pretty quiet. It's eerie. I try to like nod at people when I pass them, but most people don't make any eye contact or anything. Pulling up to the office and just like ghost town. You can imagine like a tumbleweed crossing the road, the kind of vibe. It's nice to get out. It's not stressful because there's nobody else really going to the office. I wear my gloves when I get in there, wear my mask, and I'm only in there for like 30 minutes at most. But it's sad, there's just like nobody in there.
Can you hear me? Hey, I'm just trying to move this weird 150-year-old rocking chair out of the shot. So give me another few seconds to move it. Yeah. Where we are in Hades production, we are basically taking a longer milestone. We were doing that anyway. This milestone was going to be 3 months long. And the reason it was going to be 3 months long is because we were doing this huge effort to focus on our technology and engine to make sure that Hades could be multi-platform. So that at the 1.0 launch, it would be more than PC, basically. And that was all supposed to come together at a precise moment when the pandemic hit. So the engineers were already kind of expecting like a pretty big workload. And then they're integrating all of this while also juggling all the things going on in the greater world. So they were all already kind of scheduled for things to be a little bit more intense, and I think they're a lot more intense.
Adding to the list of things I feel fortunate about from a work standpoint it just so happens that this is our longest update period that we had planned. That is just dumb luck that we happen to say, hey, our next update is in June, and for the first time ever, we don't have a specific release date. We made all those decisions definitely before any of this, and we're trying to do a lot of things at the same time, both this huge like technical undertaking of like, moving our code base to native code, which is just a huge technical challenge that should yield like improved game performance and allow us to bring the game to different platforms and stuff like that. So it's really important both for Hades and just like anything we do in the future, really. But on top of that, we have so much content work that we're still working on because we're essentially trying to finish the game. And we're getting closer to that version 1.0 that we have planned for later this year. We're adding like lots of content in different areas, and we're also doing the whole end game, which is a really big piece of the puzzle for us and something that we have deliberately held back and intend to keep holding back from early access. So it's all this work that players actually won't see until the game is done.
We still do our weekly review every Monday, which is where the whole team is involved, come together, talk about what we're working on that week. And then sort of the various meetings of the week branch out from there and pop up. And those are more smaller groupings and everything like that. We've been using Zoom just like you and I are using now, and like 97% of the world is using to communicate, I guess.
So the first week we launched an update. So we got on Zoom and we did all the things we normally do. We were able to do most of what we do for an update, push videos live and fix bugs and plan the next one.
And we're going to double check to make sure that the blog post URL is good before I send it, though.
Okay.
The first thing we're waiting for, though, is just for confirmation that the build is up. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, we increased the file size by like 4 gigs. we pushed we pushed only one change between last night and this morning, which was like add better logging for corrupt save games. And if you are a developer, it made it look like all your save games disappeared. But if you're a normal consumer, it doesn't. So it was like really terrifying. It was like the last 15 minutes wondering what happened to all the save games. But apparently it won't happen to normal people, only happen to us. So it's good to know.
It's not an update day unless something gets your heart rate above 100 beats per minute.
Yeah. Good first YouTube comment. Can we romance Skelly already?
Man, people wasted
You caught me.
time.
You could in the previous updates you give him Ambrosia.
Skelly basically has the same name as the term people would use to be attracted to skeletons. If we're going historically based off of other categories that people use to describe attraction.
That's an interesting point.
Listen.
I'm a Skelly.
Listen, maybe it starts as a working relationship, but maybe it blooms into more.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is the content Danny needs right here.
I don't think Danny's going to make it this far.
So that first week was really similar to things we've done before. I think it was the following weeks where things started to change a lot, because with a mounting sense of the seriousness of the problem and with an lack of certainty around how long we were going to end up working like this, we actually opted to sort of settle in. So we just assumed it was going to be a really long time. Our initial efforts on trying to make sure that everybody was taken care of and comfortable. And then I had, one-on-ones with everybody on the team just to check in with everyone and see how they're going. I need to take a break from this answer real quick. Sorry, 1 second. Kid.
I don't know that there has to be anything wrong with the existing key art to want new key art here.
As long as the new key art, the new key art should be like significantly better, though. Like, because we shouldn't, like us being bored of it isn't a good reason to change it.
Part of it. I think part of it is like, again, like one of the things is signaling that something with the game has changed really meaningfully, and it's that it's 1.0, right? Like, it doesn't have to just like, it's not a shouting match with the original art necessarily. It's just like, hey, this is done, and also it should present like a complete picture of what the game is or how we want to advertise it. So in that sense, it could be really close with some of the elements that are included in it, right? But in this case, I think like showing, a monster is cool. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. And if we had led with key art where it's a Hydra behind Zagreus doing whatever, I don't think that would have been a mistake either.
Yeah, I mean, I think the inclusion of the Hydra is it's like the upgrade to me there is it's a better background element tied to the marketing campaign for the game, which will hopefully be how a lot of people discover the game.
The people that I talk to on a regular basis about more than just work and just checking in with them on how they're doing and everything, we definitely have our struggles, but we're able to communicate it in like the professional way that we can, without getting too personal and all that stuff, and are able to sort of support each other through the work that we have now, thankfully, which is awesome. It's really a privilege to be able to have at least this work at Supergiant as a sort of foundation for 5 days out of my week. Has been really amazing. So I'm super grateful and thankful for that. And I think a lot of us are. We've been operating under this since like the beginning of April. But no updates on that. But I mean, if there's no antibody test or there's no updates that it's declining or anything, I could see us extending it or pushing it again. But thanks for letting me think about that. That's fine.
Hello, I'm Paige Carter. I'm the 3D artist at Supergiant Games, and I'm gonna take a little tour of my home office, my remote office. I've been working with Supergiant Games remotely for about 2 years, so my remote office is kind of just my regular office. This is Cloud Strife, my mouse pad. I've had him for a while, and he's gotten kind of beat up. Got some of my art inspos, which are not models, ironically. This is my dad. Me and my dad being cute with matching shirts. My wall of reference books and movies. I swear I'm not a Disney file, I just used to work with them. And this is Haku. Say hi, Haku. And yeah, this is my remote office space. It's kind of just my whole living room.
This is the vocal booth that I ordered. Apparently it weighs about 800 pounds. And I gotta set it up now. So, good luck to me. Okay, it's day 2 of booth assembly. Last night I got the booth assembled. The wife and I were up till about 1 o'clock doing that. And we also have, all these racks to put together to acoustically treat the inside of the booth. But, it's coming along. It's a booth. It's a room. I can record stuff in there pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. So I forgot to record right after I finished the booth. It's been a couple of weeks. But I finished the booth. Here it is. This is it. Oh, it's my little workstation here. And then next to that is the booth. And I'll take you inside my little cone of silence here. And that's my little script iPad holder set up with my script here. And then I've got some acoustic paneling. And yeah, it's quiet enough. Doesn't block out all the sounds from upstairs. The bumps and thumps, the occasional dog bark, truck going by. But it is totally working for recording Zag at home. And so I am making do. We're all making do. All right.
Hi, this is ADT, the alarm system for Supergiant Games LLC is reporting a trouble signal. For more information, go to your system keypad and follow the instructions to reset. Thank you for choosing ADT as your security provider.
This is my first time back to the office since the pandemic began. I've been outside of it to check on it, but I haven't been indoors. It's my first time seeing anybody also, because JP's around here somewhere. We're here to shoot a thing for Nintendo to announce that Hades is coming to the Switch. But it's surreal being here, post-burglary, where we had a bunch of stuff taken, like all this stuff off the walls, a lot of the instruments we used to make the soundtracks for some of our games, and a bunch of other stuff was taken too. But that's sort of maybe small potatoes compared to all the things that are happening right now. We are all working from home and making it work. After the break-in, because the door was totally broken, Gavin created this Mad Max barricade, which we've been using to try to hold the line against any further issues. There have been a few more attempts. Someone broke the mail slot with their fist and stuff like that, but it's basically held up while we're all safe at home. So yeah, it's weird. I haven't seen anybody. I've been sitting in a chair in my house for most of the last several months, so it's weird to be back here where we all once worked together. And I don't know how long it will be until that happens again. California's going back into shutdown mode, I guess, so it's going to be a long time, I think. Yeah. We will see. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yo, y'all. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Yeah. So we kicked off update 12 last week with the ending content and everything else. So undeleted the 1,000+ files that we actually successfully deleted to avoid any leaks. Hopefully that'll stay true for this update. So the big it's essentially can be treated like another update, as Amir said, with just lots of big new features. The big one, of course, is the ending. So it's another action-packed one. Should have some good surprises for everyone, I think.
Yeah, there's a ton of other work too with the platforms. So achievement.
Oh yeah, the whole Switch version of the game actually is bigger than any of the other stuff I said. That's the biggest of all. That's like not strictly a game. Okay. If you're playing the Steam version, that's less relevant to you. But as an effort, this milestone, it's definitely the single biggest thing.
But it's semi-relevant because you're going to be able to cross-save if we get that.
Yeah.
We better get that working because we're announcing it. So yeah.
Right.
so yeah.
Thanks for inviting us to your house, Greg.
Of course. Glad you're here.
How are you doing?
Definitely keeping busy. I was telling you before, I feel grateful for a lot of things, but being very busy is one of them. We're just kind of weeks away from finishing development after working on this game for 3 years, and a lot of just that sense of like now or never. Yeah, we've been working from home this whole time. I mean, I've been working from my space up there ever since the Bastion days, like quite a bit. So that part is totally fine. I should probably get a better chair. I should probably get a better desk, but those are things I've been telling myself, before all this started. The part I do worry gets lost over the long term is like the kind of ad hoc conversation that can happen. It still kind of happens on Slack and sometimes turns into calls and stuff, but that part isn't exactly the same as just being in the same office. We don't do a lot of stuff outside of work, just trying to balance work with everything else. But in my past experience, stuff outside of work is really important too. You gotta, talk over a drink or something like that. So if you're just kind of like in the work mindset the whole time, you're not really, you're pretty kind of boxed into that, and bigger ideas may have more trouble breaking through. I can't say I miss commuting to San Francisco. I've spent so much of my life commuting. Like if I had like a /played command for my commute, it would be just days and days and days of my life just sitting in a car. The commute to San Francisco isn't that long for me. It actually got quite a bit better when we moved to a different spot in San Francisco. Got better by like 10 minutes, but it's a really vital 10 minutes of otherwise just kind of sitting at traffic lights.
Can't wait to see what the weather's like in the sunset. It's probably going to be cloudy as fuck.
Yeah,
I know.
That's the safe bet. Always bet on the fog.
Thank you for inviting us to your house.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
How's the weather been?
It's been like this for the whole time. I live in a foggy part of the city, so yeah.
There you go. Every time we've done an interview with you guys, there's always been construction.
Yes.
In the studio.
Yes.
Is it fitting, perhaps, that we turn up here and they're taking a tree down?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's an early access game, right?
Yeah. Can you tell us about the call you got for the break-in?
People have tried to break into the office before. There's a magnetic lock and all sorts of precautions. A lot of the businesses on our block had boarded up, and so we did the same thing kind of a week before. And we took a video of all the stuff we owned also, just in case. And then I think around 1:30 in the morning, we got a call saying that there was an attempt. I think that went to voicemail for me, but Gavin and JP woke up and got it. We texted back and forth, and we thought, well, it's probably fine because they didn't get in. And then I think around 3:30 in the morning, things started happening again.
There's a lot of like legitimate protesting happening in downtown San Francisco. Our space is quite close to City Hall, and there were protests happening, but protests can be used as a screen for other types of things, such as break-ins. It's not like some random thing that happened. They had to cut through like industrial strength kind of locks and stuff like that. So it was like a very deliberate, it wasn't just like someone smashed a window and got in. But I don't know what they were expecting to find. I don't think they made off with too much. And most of our desks, they just kind of, looked at superficial, saw if there were any superficial valuables. And most of our desks were left untouched as far as we knew. And they were, for a bunch of thieves, they were relatively polite in that, like, they didn't just ransack, trash the place or whatever. I think it just kind of like goes with the territory in the part of San Francisco that we're in, that from time to time things like that can just happen. It's a city that has like poverty right next to wealth. If you're desperate and impoverished, you frankly have incentives to try to get out of that. I don't like excuse the theft or whatever, but as ever, I at least try to understand what would compel someone to do that. And I honestly don't think it's that hard to understand things being what they are right now.
Tell us about the engine swap. That was one of the biggest things you've done.
Yeah, so we, the original engine for Bastion was in C# and used the XNA framework, which was this framework released by Free for Microsoft, so you could make Xbox Live Arcade games yourself. That DNA has been there since the start. We've just been using the same engine, updating it. We took it out of the XNA framework, but it was still in C# for a long time.
Because we have our own engine, it means that it's hard for us to go cross-platform without a tremendous investment of work. We finally decided for Hades, we wanted to basically convert our engine to native C and to make it higher performance and a little bit easier to get onto more platforms.
I just want to check the lighting on everything too.
Okay. On behalf of our small team at Supergiant Games, I am really excited to announce that Hades is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I'm not supposed to say the Nintendo Switch. And each time you die, you're trying to escape hell. All right, one more time. You play as the immortal prince of the underworld. If you've already done so on PC, you'll be able to transfer your progress to the Nintendo Switch version with cross saves.
We had, on one hand, this really well-liked game where nobody wants anything to get worse or change about it. And then we had to replace all the technology that powered it without breaking anything for them. It's this really unglamorous work where the end result is that it's exactly the same as it was before. There was a lot of sort of visual issues, a lot of small, subtle issues like, oh, this fade doesn't feel right, or this animation doesn't look quite right. You scrutinize the old engine, you scrutinize the new engine, and you compare them side by side, and you become sort of like a detective trying to figure out, well, what is actually different about this? We were tracking all these elusive crashes, and suddenly like people who have really bad technical problems become like really important to us because they could represent 600 other people with like a crappy Toshiba laptop that can't run the game as well as they used to. We have an engineer we started working with in Serbia. He had to use essentially Serbian eBay to track down one of these laptops. Engineers from all over the world were remoting into his machine to try and examine exotic crashes and texture corruption.
On behalf of our small team at Supergiant Games, I'm really excited to, okay. Woo!
Not Zeus. Of course.
We've felt for a long time that Hades is like a really good match for the Switch because of the type of game it is and what it might be like to be able to do a run on the go or on your TV or any of those types of things. We kind of have to focus on one thing at a time, so it's still hard for us to do everything all at once, Like we used to work at companies like EA that were able to do that, and when you look at the size of the teams involved to get a game across everything all at once, it's like quite impressive, and still not something that we can do. And so Hades will be making its console debut on the Switch.
So we had our final major update in early access because the next one is our 1.0 launch. Really, really busy because we had like basically every actor who plays a role in the game back, sometimes having to accommodate new, like we're mailing them microphones and stuff like that, right? Having to accommodate new recording arrangements so we could do it at all. And recording all the final dialogue for the game. There was a ton of new stuff just in the last update, but we were also doing a ton of the writing and recording for this update, like for the ending of the game. Tons and tons of work on the story for me principally, but then there's tons and tons of other content work as well. I get wrapped up into providing feedback or putting all the other words into the game, like descriptions of all the new abilities and new items and all that kind of stuff. And then right now, my main focus is on all the ending content.
What's left to do? Okay, so we need to get the game running at high performance on the Switch. We need to get saves to work. We need to get cross saves to work. We need to get all the words translated. Then Greg needs to finish the ending. Then we need to get all those words translated. We need to get the final environment art in. We developed 2 new systems for the late game that are almost impossible to play or test because they require hundreds of hours of playtime. We need to get those in. We need to do 3 functional QA passes with our external group. We need to try and do like a trial lot check if we can to make sure that everything comes together the way we want it. And then we need to play the game ourselves and make sure we're happy with it.
So something we have been giving a lot of thought and talking a lot about is, and getting a lot of questions about, is what happens to Hades after version 1.0. Because again, there's both some of the genre expectations you've referred to of like, these games can just kind of go on forever, keep getting updated forever. Our general mindset is to go all in on this version 1.0 with the conclusion of the what we're calling the true ending, and just we've always valued a sense of completeness in our games, and even though we built up Hades piece by piece, we want it very much to feel like a complete experience at version 1.0. That's our goal. If we were holding stuff back, we by definition wouldn't be doing that. We're still at that 98% on Steam. I don't know how. I swear to God, I don't know how. I swear to the gods above and below, I don't know how. I was shocked at that 98%. I thought there was no way that would stick for more than a day, more than 2 days, more than 3 days. Past our first update, past our second update, past our third update, it's still there. I can't explain it. Like it's not false modesty. That's just like, you can like breathe wrong and dunk your score on Steam, right? So it's mind-boggling. So I'm like, we cherish that. It means a lot to us. We want to protect it. We want to live up to it with the true ending version 1.0, but it's hard to stick the landing on the ending even when you've got something good going. So I feel quite a bit of that pressure, but it's pressure that I enjoy, especially things being as they are in general. The fall is going to be an unusual time. The launch of the game, I guess, will probably be the least weird thing.
We talked a bunch on the Zoom chats about the sort of like awareness of the mental health of the team as we were entering this phase.
Yeah.
How do you think the team's been doing? I know you can only speak for yourself, really, but like, what's your essence?
So I think the team is performing really well together. I think we're being really effective together still. I worry about everyone, though. I worry about all of them. And everyone's circumstances are unique. You know, the people around them are all affected in different ways. And even if they feel like they can work, and work might be a kind of outlet for them sometimes, it doesn't erase all the things going on around them. I don't know that I can say, oh, everyone's doing great, you know? Because I actually honestly don't know the answer to that. Even when we talk, right? Because there's a component of our conversations now that's not there anymore because we're not physically in the same place. It was like quite emotional for me actually when we were filming with Jeremy to like see JP. Like I hadn't seen JP in so long. Yeah, I miss them a lot. Yeah, I miss everybody. I'm pretty sure someday we'll all hopefully see each other again and be able to actually talk about this thing that we did together and how we made it and how it felt to make it.
Best of luck with the final sprint.
Thank you. Yeah, we need it, but also we're practiced at it, but no one has practice doing it like this in this kind of circumstance. So I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm about to start watching this indie world. This Nintendo indie world. So far from the chat, everybody's hoping it's Hollow Knight. They all want Silk Song. Me too. Okay, this thing is starting. I'm pretty nervous, even though it's all pre-recorded. Oh god. Oh, people know it's Hades. They know.
Again. Got you that time.
On behalf of our small team at Supergiant Games, I am really excited to announce our roguelike dungeon crawler Hades is coming to Nintendo Switch. You play as the immortal prince of the underworld, trying to escape hell. And each time you die, it's like coming home. You advance the story, get stronger, and gear up for your next escape attempt. So if you like the fast-paced action, rich atmosphere, and character-driven storytelling of our past titles like Bastion and Transistor, we think you'll find something to love in Hades.
John Paul. I'm going to give you a pretty brief overview of my work from home setup. So here it is. Some construction noise in the background, sorry about that. But chair, pretty basic, straightforward. Keyboard, mouse. I got my headphones.
Hey, so I just wanted to share my work from home setup. We have a standing desk provided to me by Supergiant. It's a pretty simple setup, but it's everything I need and lets me work from home for the past 5 months.
Oh, we started a in-house book club at Supergiant with a few of us, and this is like our 3rd or 4th book. That's been really enjoyable. We got this file cabinet once COVID hit because we sent a lot of mail and invoices and whatnot to my address, so we could be quick on those things. So that's been helpful. You might also hear people say you need like a healthy distance between work and personal life. I found about like 4 inches or so has been working out just fine for me.